Hey folks, Corey here. Well, I'm in the shop working on something a little different this evening. I'm hoping I can sort this out. Not necessarily tonight, but it'll probably take me a little while, so there may be a couple videos in this series. But in any case, let me show you what I'm working on. There you see my Xbox 360. It's actually one of two. I scrounged another one. This was the good one. It's a second generation one. It's got the HDMI, which is nice. But you see in the background a bunch of fans. The issue I'm having, it's working right. It's not doing it right now because I fixed it once already, or I should say fixed it twice. But I'm getting what Xbox users know as the red ring of death. Happens is three of these lights light up red right away, and what it's usually caused by is an overheating issue, because the heat sink and fan setup in these units are really poorly engineered, I guess you could say, and they have a problem with overheating and breaking solder joints and so on. I fixed it a couple times using a heat gun to heat up the system board quite a bit, and it probably reflows the solder a little bit and it makes it work, but in the end it's caused by too much overheating. So I'm going to crack it open once more, show you inside if you've never seen inside one before, and see what I can do with some of these fans. They're all pretty much used fans, a couple different sizes. These are like considered a 60mm, these two. And they're fairly thin, so they can fit in tight spots, but not the best airflow. These are the old standby 80mm fans. They flow pretty good. They can be a little noisy, but maybe I can do something with that. Next up are these ones. They're a 92mm. Probably going to be a little big for what I'm planning, but you never know. We'll see if it'll fit. This is a bigger 120. It's not really going to be of any use, I don't think, but I figured I'd bring it out anyhow just in case. And then I also scrounged these back here. They're actually they're off of a compact computer. They were the fan for the heatsink, and they're a blower type, so they pull air in here and they blow it out here. So this sat on top of the processor heatsink and sucked the air off and blew it out. I think in an application like this they'd be best set up as blowing the air across heatsink as opposed to pulling it off. But I'll crack this unit open and go from there. Alright, there you have the insides. Got the top off, bottom there. Oh, I forgot to show you, I got a couple additions to the shop. Two kittens. I'm a sucker. My wife and son, we were at my Christmas party and they couldn't resist, so I got a couple shop cats. They're kind of crazy. That one up there, his name is Angus, and that one's Geronimo, so they'll probably be in and out of the videos quite a bit, but yeah, they're good company anyway. Back to the Xbox, you can see here, this is a second model of the motherboard. I don't remember what it's called, what the actual code name is for it. The original ones didn't have this extra heatsink, but I'll pull that aside and you can see small heatsink here and the bigger one, and then a secondary heatsink to help with that. Now if I'm not mistaken, this is where the graphics unit is and this is the processor, and they're just, I already took out the shield. I'll show you. This kind of sits in like that, and these fans in the back supposed to pull the air through across the heat sinks and out, but I don't know. I'm no engineer, but I'd say it's a poor design because this doesn't come right across the heat sink. So really, the fans are only going to pull right from this edge and down through. We're not going to get, and same here, even though the DVD drive is on top, I can't see it pulling the air through as it's needed. So what a lot of guys will do, one of the first things they'll do is they'll modify this fan, because it runs only on, they claim on 5 volts, but I know it ramps up and down when it's necessary, but they'll set it so it maxes out at 12 volts all the time, but that gets kind of noisy. And other people will take and use all sorts of material to help duct this so it pulls the air through, but in the end I don't think it has enough ventilation. I've seen fans on the side here and so on, but I've got a couple ideas I'm going to try, see if they're going to work. So after taking a good look at the overall setup here, I think I figured out what I'm going to do. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll take these 60mm fans, they'll just cut a hole in the top of the case and they'll kind of mount it to the case right there, and it fits in, and then I don't know if they have it in a, so it's exhausting air or pushing air in, but that works not too bad, but I don't think that's going to be quite enough. So what I'm going to do, first thing I'm going to try, it's going to take a bit of Dremel work, but I'm sure it's going to work out okay, is this fan. Get this out of the way here again. Oop. Normally sits in like that. It's got the little nubs to hook up, and then hooks up right down there. I'm not going to bump the voltage up to 12 volts like a lot of guys do, but what I'm going to do, it's probably going to take a little bit of Dremel work and cutting these little posts off the bottom, but I'm turning it around. So instead of sucking air out, I'm going to have it blowing air into the duct. So then I'll still reuse this duct, have it blowing air into the duct, so they'll be forced in this way through the heat sinks, and I'll also extend the duct so it's forced across the heat sink a lot better. Same here, forced across the heat sink, come out this side. But then you're thinking, well, then the air is going to get trapped in there, and now there's a bunch of holes on each side where it could exhaust on its own. That's kind of creating a positive pressure system. But then what I'm going to do, and surprisingly it's going to fit, let me just throw this back in here, is I am going to cut a hole in the top of the case. I've actually got a spare top in case I mess up. So there's one right in there. So I can experiment a little bit if I have to. I'm going to take this 92mm fan and mount it in the top of the case. I'm going to mount it at an angle, kind of like that, so it's going to poke out of the top of the case at an angle, and I'm going to have that as my exhaust fan blowing out the top. Now hot air rises, it's going to be easier to pull the air. The heated air is going to naturally want to come out the top, so these fans will be blowing in across. The hot air will be coming out across here, blowing through this, and then this fan will suck it all out and blow it out the top. Probably cause myself some dust issues, but big deal. I got a big air compressor over there. I can use it to blow out as needed. So let's start chopping away. Well, I got the fan turned around. It wasn't really a simple just flip it around and stick it in, because there was some clearance issues because the fan is not symmetrical from front to back, so nothing a Dremel couldn't take care of. Still it's not mounted permanently in there. The motherboard holds it in place tight at the bottom kind of, but I'll work something out to keep it in there permanently. Also, I'm going to have to extend the wires to reach across to the connector. So I'm happy with that though, and hopefully it'll work the way I plan. I may actually have to clearance this as well to make it fit, now that I think about it. It's not something I actually tried yet. Let's see what happens, because this post needs to line up properly. Probably not even going to be come close to fitting. But don't expect it to fit when you're trying to doctor things. So, yeah, you can see it's not even close, because this fan is sticking out quite a ways. So I may end up having to take and cut this all around the edge to make it work. But because I got a second Xbox, I got two of these too in case I mess up. In any case, the next step, I've got it marked out already with some rough measurements. I'll throw the top on. This is the spare top I have. Is to cut a gigantic hole in the top so that this fan will fit in. Now, like I said previously, I just don't want this mounted on top because I think that looks a little bit cheeseball. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that in, and this will kind of sit in at an angle and stick out kind of like that, if you can picture it. And then I'll make sure to fill it in all the way around the edges. Get some styrene at the hobby shop when next time I'm going to town or into Edmonton, and build it all in and kind of mold it into place so it looks semi-factory anyway. So let's fire up the old Dremel and chop her open and see how she looks. Well, there you have it. One gigantic hole top of Xbox. Looks like it's not square, but the front of the Xbox actually curves inwards, so I squared it up with each edge. Now I haven't actually tested to see if the fan fits. I can sneak up on the fitment. I'd rather have it a little small than a little big, but looks like she'll go in okay. Next step is to grab the rest of the system, slap the top on. I've taken the metal shielding out of the bottom so I could fit a little bit better. I had to remove it just so I could cut the plastic. So get that like so. Centers up not too bad over that secondary heat sink. And then we would take the fan and kind of squeeze down as far as it'll go. Might actually have to cut her back a little bit further there, so this back edge sits pretty much flush against the plastic. There's no point in losing a lot of flow because that's cut off, but that's kind of the gist of it. And then, like I say, I'll get some styrene from the hobby store and build it around this edge and the back to fill it all in, and that'll be a nice big fan sucking the air out, hot air out. Look a little more custom than just sticking a hole in the case and putting a smaller fan in. So hopefully with that and getting some better heatsink compound to mount the heat sinks, it'll prevent the issues. But in any case, I think I'm gonna shut it down for the evening, head in the house, watch a bit of the tube before bed. So I'm gonna continue on this tomorrow, and I'll make sure and video it for part 2 of the series. Talk to you later.